started in 2012, and now we've kind of just exploded a little bit, but we'll take dogs in who have retired from their working career. We've taken those who have never made it as working dogs. And we also take in dogs who have had career-ending injuries. So we'll get them all fixed up and then we'll rehome them. Roughly rehome 300 dogs a year.
It is the New Zealand Farm Assurance Program has a clause in there that states that you must be dosing your dogs and have a sheep measles program in place. This is particularly important for traders. If you are buying animals that you're not sure where they're coming from, the simple question of are you on a New Zealand Farm Assured program is enough to mitigate the risk that those animals are infected.
Bringing you the best of rural New Zealand for nearly 50 years via your mailboxes. Now it's time for CountryWide seasonal stories to exclusive weekly interviews to come straight to your ears with this brand spanking new podcast. It's here you can celebrate with us the grit and the smarts it takes to farm into the future, alongside good old-fashioned country culture on the CountryWide podcast, hosted by editor of CountryWide, Rebecca Greaves, and her fellow journalists.
Man's best friend. I'm talking about your four-legged working friends, the working dogs that do so much work on our farms. We've got a whole episode dedicated to these wonderful animals on the back of our dog food guide, which is in the current issue of CountryWide. It's always very popular. And I'm joined again today by Sarah Perriam-Lampp. How are you going, Sarah?
Good, and you're not going to miss the CountryWide December, January that has the striking young 3 shepherds on the front page as well, off the back of 25 years of celebrating the Hunterville Shemozzle, which I met my husband at. Did you know that, Rebecca?
I didn't know that. That's so cool, because he's from that neck of the woods, isn't he?
Yes, yeah, it was. It's an absolute mad time, and you say Shemozzle on the South Island, and no one knows what you're talking about unless you say like the Cadrona Dog Derby. It's such an awesome event, and to see it reach 25 years, it's pretty special, especially for Sarah Horrocks, who covered that photo with her father-in-law founding the Shemozzle. So yeah, I mean, we all love dogs, but let alone in the CountryWide team for sure.
I feel like Shemozzle was such a great word. I love it. And I've never been, so I haven't. I've always looked at the photos and, you know, the crazy things that they do and thought, gosh, this just looks like amazing, good fun, probably quite painful at the time. I think you'd be pretty knackered by the time you completed it. But just such a cool way to celebrate working dogs.
Yeah, and it's interesting for those, could be listening around the world, what the hell are they talking about? It's the celebration of something very Kiwi, which is our Hunteraway dog that originates from Hunterville in the middle of the North Island. And it's interesting, Rebecca, like my mum and husband were talking about this last night, about the love for Hunterways versus heading dogs. And my mum's a heading dog lady. And so there was all the pros and cons of both of them. It was quite a good discussion, actually.
Yeah, I've never actually thought about which I would choose, but I think I'd probably say I'm a Hunteraway girl. Like, there's just something about them. They're just so big and almost goofy. My dad had an amazing Hunteraway when I was a kid called Bull, because he was like massive with like a bull head, and he was just the most beautiful dog. And I think I have a soft spot for the Hunteraway, but we've had some amazing heading dogs though. Like the best dogs that my husband's had have been a line of heading bitches, and they were the most amazing natural dogs. So he would probably say he was a heading dog person.
I tell you what, Hunteraway's definitely if you're liberating, because you're in the pub faster than you are on a long pole, sitting there. I tell you what, drizzly day in Clinton at the South Island Dog Champs, and you're put on the long pole. I think my dad was trying to punish me that day. So it's all horses for courses, isn't it?
Well, you're definitely selling. You've had some experience with the dog trials. My experience with the dog trials as a kid was more that we spent time in the creek catching yabbies, and my dad always did the bar. He wasn't a dog trial man. My grandfather was a great dog trial man, but Dad always did the bar, and I loved it because we would get on the school bus and the school bus would drop us off after school at the dog trial grounds, and you always got to have, your packet of chips and your can of Coke or whatever because Dad was on the bar. And because Dad was on the bar, we were always there till quite late, and there was always heaps of kids, and I don't really even remember the dog trialing so much, but I just remember it being so much fun.
That sounds exactly identical to my upbringing as well. My granddad did the bar, so therefore my dad did the bar. So then when we become older, it was just that was the Perriam role. You did the bar. So I totally get those memories. So awesome. Interesting, that conversation with my mum was because now she's looking for a retired working dog and she wants find a good heading dog. And I know that you caught up with the founder of Retired Working Dogs. That is such a cool success story.
Natalie Smith, yeah, she's quite a good friend of mine, and she is just a magical human being who has done such amazing work to give these dogs another chance at life after farming. And it's not just old dogs, it's actually young dogs as well. And they basically find
the useless ones.
Yeah, the useless ones. The turners, as my husband would say, they turn dog food into, you know what?
Yes.
And don't do a lot else.
That's a good one. I haven't heard that before, for sure. But talking about dog food, it's a thing in CountryWide. Every year we do the dog food guide. This become a new thing for me. Very popular.
Yeah, well, I feel that let's be honest, it's quite a big expense feeding dogs. If you have a big team of dogs, it is, and so I guess they're like an athlete in a way. So what you fuel them with is very important. So, I mean, they have to eat just like us, and it's a key component of dog care. So, it's a regular fixture in CountryWide, and I think always really well read and quite anticipated.
There's a lot of nutritional detail in there, and I think that's the best way of putting it. They are athletes, not if you're a dog trialist, let alone just being out on the hill for that long. And they're running and working way harder than us as humans. Looking after and caring for our dogs is the most crucial part of sheep and beef farming, really, and that's why they are the mainstay, the man's best friend.
Yeah, well, I know we don't have staff, and certainly they almost are like staff. I mean, they're labour units, really, and they're your mates as well. And I think people underestimate, or people that are outside farming perhaps underestimate the love that farmers have for their dogs and the camaraderie and the loyalty and the, what they bring to your life, really. I think that they're such special animals. And, yeah, what Natalie and her team do to help find dogs homes or new forever homes where they can actually enjoy a retirement, or maybe they can't run the big hills anymore, but they could go to a small block and help round up, a few sheep from time to time and lie on the porch at the rest of the time. They actually just make such great pets.
Yeah, absolutely outstanding companions, but can also be a little bit of a health challenge. And sheep measles has been a part of sheep farming in New Zealand for a really long time. We kind of nearly on the other side of getting rid of it, but it's just always lurking, isn't it? It's kind of like lepto.
It's one of those things. I think that Ovis, the team at Ovis Management, have done such an amazing job of, raising awareness and getting farmers on board to take practical steps on farm to minimise the risk of having an Ovis outbreak. But it is still there, and you do have to be vigilant. And we had a visit from Dan Lynch, who was I spoke to Michelle Simpson for this podcast, but Dan did that role previously, a wonderful man, and someone who's given a lot of service to the industry in that role. And he actually came to see us because we had an outbreak on our farm, which was a bit of a revelation to me and quite horrifying, because I thought, oh my God, I can't believe we've got Ovis. It had probably not originated on our farm, but I just wanted to understand what we could do to minimise it and if we were doing the right things. And I think it's just really important to be aware of those things that you need to do, such as having your dogs in a regular dosing program, and the way that you treat meat in terms of if you're doing dog tuckers and things like that. And also just if dogs, not your own dogs, it's if you have visitors to your farm, so if you have friends that come to stay and they live in town and they bring a dog that is not dosed, that can pose a real risk. Or if you have people that come onto your farm to go hunting and they're bringing pig dogs or, whatever. So there are quite a few things that you can do to protect yourself from Ovis, and they're not difficult. They're easy to do. It's just a matter of being aware of it, I think.
Yeah, constant reminders are always good. Before we get into this episode, I just wanted to share a memory. I think the combination of the Hunteraway and the heading dog and the tri-coloured dog that we had, His name was Please. So as you can imagine, when my dad was yelling obscenities at him with please at the end, it was very hilarious. But Please used to play basketball with me as a kid. I taught him how to dribble the basketball. And so, yeah, a good combination. No one really liked the tricoloured, but he was my mate, Please.
I have a photo, and we did have a photo, and I don't know where it's gone. I always try and find it in the photo albums when I go home. But I used to have tea parties with Dad's dogs when I was a kid. So there's like a picture of me sitting at the fence with them all tied up, and I've got, the cups of tea and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I've always been a real dog lover, and I think it's great to devote a whole episode to the dogs. Our working dogs are a massively important part of farm life. Loyal and hardworking, it can be really tough when they get to the end of their useful working life, or when they can't come on the farm with us anymore. And today I'm talking to the founder of Retired Working Dogs, Natalie Smith, who has helped more than 1,000, I'm sure she'll tell us how many, but many working dogs find forever homes in their life after farming. Welcome to the podcast, Nat.
Hey, Bex, how are you?
I'm great. It's great to have you here because we've talked about retired working dogs a lot over the years, and I've rehomed some of our dogs through you and know firsthand what a wonderful service it is. So I'd love for you to just give our listeners a little rundown for a start. What is Retired Working Dogs and what do you guys do?
Okay, so we are a charitable trust. We rehome dogs nationwide. Started in 2012, and now we've kind of just exploded a little bit, but we'll take dogs in who have retired from their working career. We've taken those who have never made it as working dogs. And we also taken dogs who have had career-ending injuries. So we'll get them all fixed up and then we'll rehome them once they're all sorted.
Fantastic. Yeah, so I think that's quite a key thing. You think retired working dogs, I always think old, but obviously there are quite a few dogs that, and we've rehomed a couple through you that were actually quite young, but they just showed no interest in working, but they were lovely dogs with great temperaments. And I thought, well, it'd be so sad for them to not be able to continue on in life. And, we found some wonderful homes for them. So what's the split? Like, is it mostly older dogs or is it quite even?
It's quite even. And I think farmers tend to hang on to their older dog because they've earned it. They've worked their whole lives. They're great mates. The younger ones tend to need to leave a little bit sooner. But it's great to see that number increasing because traditionally they didn't used to be rehomed so much.
Can you tell me a little bit about the background of the organisation? How did you come up with this idea? What was the catalyst for it?
The catalyst was a 12-year-old heading dog named Todd. So I was vet nursing in Hunteraway vet Pahieta, and Todd came in on the mail bus to be put to sleep. And I just couldn't really let that happen. So I called his owner and he said, yeah, you can take him. Good for you. So Todd came home with me, and then I thought to myself, there's got to be so many more dogs like this out there. And the SPCA at the time was helping me out. And we just started small. And I remember when we had 50 people following our Facebook page. And that was very exciting. And now we're at 38,000 people.
It's incredible, isn't it? And people seem to really love working dogs as pets from what I can see from following your page. Why do working dogs make such good pets? Why should I consider a retired working dog as a pet?
Honestly, they are just the best dogs. And obviously I'm incredibly biased. But you're getting a dog who is fully trained, they're obedient, they come back when they're called, they know not to touch things that you tell them not to touch, and they're just so loyal and grateful for everything, and they just make amazing.
I think too, because if you're on a big station with big hills and big days, a dog might not be able to cope with the grunt of that, but it might still be quite fine for a retired farmer that's got a few acres in town and just wants a little mate, a big mate, to walk around the block and help chase a few sheep, they can still actually be useful as well, can't they? Are those ones quite sought after?
Yeah, they go really quickly, and we have waiting lists of people with lifestyle blocks or small block retired farmers, like you say, who are looking for some help. They might not have enough work for a young dog, so that's perfect.
I think it's a hard one for farmers, isn't it? Like you say, you know, the older ones particularly that have been your mate, your worker. Obviously, they're there when times are good and times are bad. It can be really difficult actually to make that decision to let a dog go. And I think perhaps there's a misconception maybe with the public that farmers don't care about the dogs and that's why you have to rehome them. But I kind of feel like it's the opposite. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And I feel like a big part of what we do is educating on that and kind of trying to bridge the gap there, because people don't understand, if they're not in the farming world, that you can't keep your dogs forever and you need new dogs coming through. And also that they're just miserable if they're locked in their kennel while their mates are out working and the boss is gone. They're better off somewhere else.
They like to have a purpose, don't they? Okay, so what's the process? Can you tell us a little bit more about, you know, if I was a person that was looking to get a dog off you guys, or if I was a farmer that thinks that they might have a dog that's a candidate for retired working dogs, how do we find you guys and what's the process that you go through?
Awesome. So you would just head to retiredworkingdogs.org.nz and then farmers could hit the website and go to applications, and then they can submit their dog for rehoming. And so there's just a questionnaire there. It takes you through everything people need to know about your dog. You upload a photo, goes on the website, and it's shared to our Facebook page. Ads start for a month, but if the dog's rehomed before that, that's no. And for people looking for a dog, you just head to the website and look for dogs for adoption. You can filter by North or South Island, what kind of dog you're looking for. And then we do also take dogs into foster as well. We have quite a small number of foster homes, but it's growing throughout the country. And so those dogs are the ones that can't stay on farm for whatever reason, or are referred to us through vet clinics with injuries and things like that.
Okay, I was just about to ask what's the criteria for a foster dog, but I think you've just answered it. And the other thing too, I think it's worth noting, is it when you list your dog and it goes up on the Facebook page, then it's a direct talk between the farmer and the potential person. So you still decide, don't you, if you're going to place your dog with that person.
Yeah, so we just recommend asking lots of questions and making sure it's the right fit. But there are such amazing homes out there that honestly, it's mind-blowing.
So how many dogs have you rehomed, Nat? Do you have the numbers?
Well, it's been going since 2012, and admittedly, record keeping wasn't great initially, but I've just done some figures for here, and so we would roughly rehome 300 dogs a year.
How does it make you feel, like all these dogs over all these years that you've helped, just through that one dog that came in on the mail truck, good old Todd, and I know Todd's owner, I remember who this was, as a local farmer out here, actually, I believe. You know, like, it must give you some real satisfaction to think that you've actually saved those dogs and enriched people's lives by having a pet that they would have never considered, or a breed they might not have considered previously.
Yeah, absolutely. It is incredibly humbling to meet all these amazing people as well. And the foster teams are so incredible, and they make such a difference to these dogs' lives. But yeah, it's an unbelievable feeling, really.
Yeah, well, I think you've done a great thing for dogs, and I feel that many farmers would be appreciative of what you've done. What's next? Are there any plans for retired working dogs? You know, any big goals, or are we just trying to keep doing what we're doing?
Yeah, I think so. Basically, the more dogs we can help, the better. So expand a bit more into the South Island, because we're predominantly North Island based, and just get some more vet clinics on board to work with us. But yeah, you know, build the team up a bit and just get bigger.
And obviously, charities don't run without funds, and things like vet bills are obviously expensive if your dogs are needing surgery or things like that. So I'm sure you'd also love to or gratefully receive any donations if anyone's feeling charitable.
Yes, absolutely. We couldn't do it without them. So you are able to head to our website and hit donate buttons on every page. So we would be very grateful. Thank you.
Hey, look, Nat, thank you so much for speaking to me today. It's incredible work that you're doing, and I feel like dogs are they touch a bit of an emotional chord, I reckon, with farmers, because despite the fact that farmers can look or act a bit tough, I guess, I think everyone has a soft spot for their dogs, and everyone has the special ones as well, don't they? So I think on behalf of all farmers, we're very grateful for the work that you and your team do. So thank you, and keep up the amazing work. Ovis, or probably more commonly known as sheep measles, is something that we all need to be aware of as farmers, and as a farmer, it's something that we have experienced ourselves on our farm. So it's of particular interest to me. And today I'm joined by the Ovis project manager, Michelle Simpson, to have a bit of a chat around what Ovis is and what you need to be aware of and what you can do on farm to safeguard yourself and your business against the threat of sheep measles. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi, Rebecca. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. As I said, it's a bit of a topic that I get quite enthused about because it has actually affected us. So I feel like Ovis is something that you guys have done such a great job of getting on top of, that so not people haven't become blasé, but perhaps it's not something that is top of mind for farmers maybe. So I'd love if you could just explain a little bit about what sheep measles is and why it is actually important for us to be aware of this and have a management plan in place to try and prevent it from causing issues on our farm.
Yeah, so where we're at the moment, the prevalence is looking really good, and the main reason for that is because farmers are doing a really good job of preventing it from getting any bigger, any more of a problem. But the reproductive potential of this tapeworm that causes sheep measles is quite remarkable. And it's got a 35-day life cycle, which is why if we drop the ball, it could be quite catastrophic.
So what does it actually cause? If you get sheep measles on your farm, say you have an outbreak, what happens and what are the implications, downstream for that meat?
So we partner with the Meat Industry Association, and we work with the meat companies and assure quality. The meat inspectors examine the carcass, and if they find 5 or more of the sheep measles cysts, they will condemn the carcass. This results in loss of money for the farmer and the processors, because the only way you can tell if a sheep actually has sheep measles is at slaughter, when it's ready to be processed.
So there would be no outward sign, you couldn't go and look at your flock and say, oh, I've got sheep measles.
No, there's no way of knowing. And once a sheep is infected, they're infected for life. And therefore, as the animal gets older, the cysts can become more obvious, which results in more condemnation or more condemners.
And as we all know, if you send stock to the works and it gets condemned, that's a direct hit to your bottom line. And if you had a lot of animals that were condemned, then it could have really serious financial implications, couldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And of course, the way that the sheep measles affect the muscle, the inspectors are only able to find around 20% of the infections. So there is the risk that we end up sending infected meat into the market, which would cost millions.
So it's our international reputation on the line as well.
Yeah, international and domestic. I think all our markets, we really want to focus, and we do focus on the quality of meat that we provide. And this is just part of the picture of ensuring that we keep that reputation alive.
Fantastic. So if we go back a little bit, how do we get sheep measles? Where does it come from? How do I end up with an outbreak on my farm?
So the sheep measles is caused by a dog tapeworm called Taenia ovis, which has the dog as the host. An infected dog can carry up to 3 tapeworm, and each tapeworm can be about 3 meters long. And how tapeworms work is they're segmented. So each segment that is defecated onto the pasture is a whole new tapeworm. One dog can defecate 250,000 eggs, and as I just mentioned, it's very reproductive. So a sheep grazing those eggs or that pasture can get the eggs, they travel through the bloodstream and migrate into the muscle, where they eventually die. If sheep are fed, or infected sheep meat is fed to dogs, then the process starts again.
So it sounds like it can spread quite quickly and at scale with those numbers you're talking about.
Yeah, it can travel up to approximately 10 kilometres, mostly by flies. And often you'll have a line of sheep where 1 or 2 are heavily infected and the others are not. And that's probably because the 1 or 2 sheep have eaten the majority of the eggs in that space. So it's not an entire mob of sheep that is likely to be infected. It's likely to be 1 or 2.
Okay. So, yeah, there is actually a 10-kilometre radius in that respect as well. So even if you are doing everything right on your farm, if there was to be, for example, maybe an outbreak on a neighbouring property, that could impact you as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. So it's we're trying to put the message out to say that you do the right thing, not just for yourself, but for others. So your neighbour could affect your property. The neighbour walking down the road with their dog that has a tapeworm can affect your property. We just need to be mindful of where we are and what we're doing, because you might come along and not pick up a dog poo and leave, causing problems later on for the farmer.
And that could also apply to people that visit your farm, you know, if they bring a pet dog that hasn't been dosed, or if some people are coming on hunting or anything like that, pig dogs.
Yep, all dogs that come on the farm should be dosed 48 hours before they arrive if they're not on a regular program, and that ensures that the tapeworm is flushed. Any possible tapeworm that is present is removed before they arrive.
Okay, so as a farmer, what can I do? What's best practice for me on my farm to ensure that I'm doing everything I can to minimise the risk of Ovis?
Or if you're feeding home kill, you've got to freeze it for 10 days at minus 10 degrees, and that's all meat, all offal. It's important that your dogs are on a worm dosing program. The best practice would be 1 all-wormer every 3 months and a praziquantel in between, which is the active ingredient to kill tapeworm. And ensure that all dogs on the farm are getting that. So that's the pet dogs, all the workers' dogs, and sometimes it pays to have one person in charge of dosing the dogs, like our chairman says, on pill day, bill day, or bill day, pill day, is one way of remembering, you know, that that's the day of the month that we dose our dogs. Sometimes you can't just rely on handing an envelope as much as you'd like to, and checking that the dogs have actually received the pills. It can be quite challenging.
Yeah, some of those dogs are slippery characters. They don't like to take them, or they spit them out. I've definitely had experience with that. I know something that's worked for us is that we are in a dosing program with our vet clinic. So all of our dogs, including our pet dogs, are on the dosing roster, and it arrives in the mail. So that every month they send us the appropriate dosing, and then, you know, we record that in our animal health that they've been treated as well. But that's really helped us to get into a good routine of doing it. So that's something that I personally would recommend from experience.
Absolutely. Most vet clinics will offer that service now, and it's an important way of ensuring that you've got enough tablets and you're meeting the requirements. And it's easy to just update as dogs come and go to the clinic to make sure that you're getting everything that you need. And as you say, it's good for your assessors who come in to make sure that you're meeting your requirements. It's a quick way of letting them know that you are actually following the rules and doing as you're supposed to do.
Yeah, well, it's certainly something that we've been asked about in audits, and as part of our animal health plan that we show that we're doing that. So it is a regulatory requirement as well, isn't it?
It is. The New Zealand Farm Assurance Program has a clause in there that states that you must be dosing your dogs and have a sheep measles program in place. This is particularly important for traders. If you are buying animals that you're not sure where they're coming from, the simple question of are you on a New Zealand Farm Assured program is enough to mitigate the risk that those animals are infected.
Yeah, because like you say, the only way you can know if an animal's infected is when it's killed, isn't it? So if you are someone that sells store stock, or you're not actually killing animals, or you're buying trade animals, you need that assurance, don't you, that they haven't come from an infected property or that they're not infected.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's a big risk. And the people that are not killing, we don't know who they are because their information isn't going through the processes who we get our information from. So it's very much a rely on them to also do the right thing to protect the stock moving forward.
Is that one of the biggest challenges, reaching those people that you don't have the information on because they're not killing?
There are a few challenges. That's one, because we can't directly talk to them. But our target audience are all dog owners. We're not just focusing on farmers. It's urban people who walk their dogs down past sheep, and dog trialists, and they've got an excellent process where they've got doses. It's an all certification that you are required to dose your dogs. The pig hunters also are pretty good because they don't want to lose the properties that they hunt on. So it is the challenge is getting the message to the right audience at the right time.
For sure, yeah. So it's a whole picture approach, not just farmers. Just to wrap up, Michelle, what sort of, if you could get across one key message from the Ovis team to our listeners, or to farmers, predominantly farmers, but there may be some other dog owners that are listening, what would you say?
I think it's important that even though you can't see it and it may not affect you, it is there. It is a problem, and it is affecting a lot of farmers and processors. So I guess the thing is just do the right thing to ensure that you're not part of a problem that is preventable. And dose your dogs.
Fantastic. Do the right thing and dose your dogs, people. Thank you so much, Michelle, for joining us today and sharing your expertise with us. I really appreciate it.
Get in touch with Rebecca Greaves, our editor of CountryWide, on email rebecca@countrywidemedia.co.nz if you have a great insight to share with our thousands of readers and listeners in New Zealand and around the world. Don't miss our weekly episodes of the CountryWide podcast by hitting the subscribe button now, and join our CountryWide weekly email newsletter to get the latest in-depth stories in your mailbox so you're always ahead of the game in the business of farming into the future.